All right, let's talk about the Obama monkey video. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. And I don't care that there are a lot of Democrats in the extended video. You use a quick clip of Obama and his wife as monkeys, you know what message it sends, and you know it is wrong. And whoever was a part of it should be exposed and disposed of. Of course, the president doesn't take the blame. Of course, they took it down. The message was sent and received. And of course, his mouthpiece tries to put the blame on the rest of us. This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage. Fake outrage? Tell that to Senator Tim Scott. He posted this was the most racist thing he's ever seen out of the White House. Interesting choice of words. Most racist, as opposed to the only racist thing he's ever seen out of the White House. Scott apparently called the president, asked him to remove the video, and then Trump deleted it. Because if you don't want people to accuse you of being racist, guess what? Don't do things like this, okay? Now, the Obamas have not responded to the video. I'm not surprised. Instead, the president put out a message to America's athletes on the night of the opening ceremony of the Olympics. To all the athletes, we're proud of you, we're with you, you know, saying all the right things instead of getting down in the mud. Good move. Someone can still take the high road. Because the current president said moments ago he didn't make a mistake by posting the video. He only watched the first part of the video, which was about voter fraud, and he gave it to his people, and they didn't watch the whole thing. I argue that the first part of the video should be just as embarrassing for him as the end of the video is obviously offensive, but what comes before it is the real story that motivated the bigotry in the first place. See, while it's good that some Republicans are saying, oh, you shouldn't have Obama as a monkey. Oh, great. But they're not saying anything about what came before it. This absurdist nonsense about the 2020 election, conspiracies that have been debunked. Before the 2-second monkey crap, 58 seconds of absurd, baseless conspiracies. They don't even mention that. Why would you put this BS with the monkey BS? Here's my take. The president believes that the kind of person who would believe the nonsense that he's putting out about the last election being rigged would be amused, would enjoy depicting the black president and his wife as monkeys. In other words, the joke is not on the Obamas. The president is actively making a monkey out of you. Now, the guy in the video is retired Army Colonel Phil Waldron, an Army-trained spook in psychological influence operations, PSYOPs. He circulated a 38-page PowerPoint back in 2020 to the members of Congress, to the White House. He had all these meetings with the Trumpers arguing that they should declare a national emergency to stay in office because China and Venezuela had remote control over our voting machines. No evidence, nothing to support the claims. They were dismissed. The MAGA folk couldn't meet with them enough, but everybody who has a fully functioning cerebellum dismissed the claims. Until now. It seems the White House is trying to distract with conspiracies that the midterms are rigged just in case they don't go their way. What they should be doing is meeting where the majority is. Our concerns, not monkey business about the past, the dire concerns of the current, specifically the cost of living, specifically health care. Now polling as more concerning than groceries, utilities, rent, and mortgage payments, and gas prices. Let's discuss the state of play. Host of Katie Pavlich tonight, Katie herself. Good to have you. Happy Friday.
Hey, Chris. Thank you for having me.
So,
good to see you. Happy Friday.
What does this mean? Not so much the monkey business. What does this intense messaging that the elections were rigged mean about the disposition towards the midterms for the administration?
Well, first, I think it's really important to point out that the outrage over the depiction at the end of a scroll video, which then automatically went to another video, was not vindictive in nature. Was it a mistake? Yes. Did it cause a problem for the White House all day today? Yes. Is the president upset about it? And there's new reporting out tonight that there are a number of White House staffers who are upset that this occurred because of the narrative all day was not on the fact that last night President Trump announced Trump RX, which means that medication prices are going to go down for Americans because Europeans now are going to pay their fair share when it comes to investment in drugs and the ROD that comes into the research of those drugs. We're not going to be subsidizing Europeans anymore for our medication. They're not talking about the Dow that hit an all-time high today. They had that press conference from the Department of Justice about Benghazi, exactly, where they brought justice after 14 years for 4 Americans who were killed in that attack. And so, yes, it was not handled the best way. They should have immediately investigated it and realized that it was an automatic scroll into a video, which, as you did play, depicted a number of people and animals. Is it silly? Yes. But was it vindictive, and does it classify the President of the United States as a racist? No. And I think if you look at his policies, people in his cabinet, the people who have visited the White House, including Nicki Minaj recently, to call him a racist or to imply that he is one based on that video is very disingenuous and lacking context.
Well, too bad. Because let me tell you something. If you don't want somebody to call you that, then you don't do things like this. He didn't show Biden and everybody else. They just showed the Obama part. So it doesn't matter what it clicks and scrolls to.
But they didn't do it on purpose,
this is an unforced
Chris,
error.
Which is the issue. It is an unforced error, but that's very different than being vindictive about it and doing it on purpose. It is an unforced error.
Well, give me a good reason.
Purposely clipping it to show that.
Well, first of all, it was absolutely purposely clipped to show the Obama part. It was just part of a much bigger video. That's not the beginning. Well, it's not the beginning of the video.
It was an automatic scroll.
It's not the first thing you would see.
It was an automatic, right, because it's the end of the video, which automatically scrolled into the next video. That's what happened.
Oh, no, I know. I understand how buffering and queuing works. What I'm saying is somebody made a choice.
It wasn't a vindictive portrayal of the Obamas.
You call it what you want.
And what happened...
Let me tell you something. If I do something like that, if I did that, first of all, I'd probably get fired. But if I did that, guess what people would call me? A bigot. You know why? That's a bigoted thing to put out. That's why. And we both know it.
I agree, Chris. I agree with you that if they purposely only clipped this portion on purpose, it would be bigoted. It would be disgusting. But they didn't purposely clip this portion on purpose. It was part of another video that got scrolled into automatically after they were portraying the other video, which is the one they were clipping for the feed. They didn't watch it all the way to the end. So there's a difference between vindictively clipping a video to show the Obamas this way, which is not what happened. It was an automatic scroll to a video which depicts a whole bunch of other politicians in these ridiculous animal costumes. Is that silly politics? Yes, but to argue it was done because President Trump is a racist and to portray the Obamas this way purposely,
I'm not arguing that he is a racist. I'm not saying he's a racist. Listen, Katie, words matter. Context matters, as you say. You want the defense of it, use it as a sword and a shield. So if you do something like this, this is a racist thing to do. It doesn't mean you're a racist necessarily, but what you did invites the racism, okay? And what's more important is, you know what I do if I did this by mistake? You know what you do if you did this by mistake? You say, I'm sorry. That's what you say, because you are mortified. You are mortified. Not him. Not him. I did nothing wrong. I have nothing to apologize for. I don't care if you're offended. And then Katie, and then Levitt comes out there, bloodlessly and says, oh, this is all on you, fake outrage. Senator Tim Scott didn't think that. Is he a dope?
Well, Chris, the best thing for them to do was to say, this was a mistake. This was not done on purpose. Here's the full video that was scrolled into the previous video that was being posted by a staffer on the president's True Social account. That's not what they did. And then it caused a problem for them all day long. But again, I'm very glad you just showed the full context of the video, which portrays a number of politicians in animal costumes. So not sure how you can make the case that it was only racist against 2 people portrayed in the video and not the rest of them portrayed in the video.
Okay, if you want it to be disgusting and prejudicial towards everybody, I'll concede the point. Let me ask you something else.
It's racist against Trump to say he's a lion costume? I mean, this doesn't make any sense.
No, but your rationale, your analogy makes no sense. Again, this is a very simple fact pattern.
Your analogy makes no sense.
You took...
So you're calling it racist. You're saying it's a racist fact pattern? Where's the fact pattern?
No, look, Katie, I know you need that. Katie, I know you need that to give you
I don't
some
need
kind of
anything.
high ground that this is being taken too far, but this is on you. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't contextualize it. He doesn't say anything is wrong that he ever does, and then you're surprised that people come at him and to say that it's overreaction? It's nonsense. It's
No,
political
I'm not
malpractice in the
surprised at
main.
all. I'm
It's
actually not surprised at all.
mean-spirited. It's dark. And it's ugly, and everybody knows it. Let's move on.
I'm not surprised at all that this happened today. I said that. I said they should have done it better from the beginning. I'm not surprised there was outrage.
Well,
when
they left
you
it
look
up
at the
for
full
12
story,
hours.
it wasn't done vindictively.
Look, Katie, all I'm saying is you can say that. I don't know that. If you know how it happened, okay, great. But all I'm saying is this. When you're explaining you're losing in politics, and there were a lot of other things they could be talking about.
I agree.
The specific one is health care is not a cudgel. You know how sometimes we come up with issues that you're just not good on, so I keep hitting you with it. But it's not really the most important issue in the world. This is, and it's gaining momentum, and the president said something that I thought at the time, ooh, that could be good. He said, I'm going to call in all these cats, and I'm going to bring them in, and I'm going to sit them down, and I'm going to say, this is going to happen, with or without you. How do you want it? That's a great idea. Where is it?
Well, President Trump has done this with a number of the drug companies, which is why you're seeing, as I talked about from the beginning, and something I wish they could have focused on more today, because they announced it last night and then it got blown up by this situation today, which they could have handled much better. They've done this with their drug companies by forcing Europeans to pay for their own medication to stop the American taxpayer from subsidizing the research and the health care and the socialist health care that Europeans enjoy under the dime of the American people. They've done this also. They've invited the insurance companies, which the president has accused of making a lot of money since Obamacare
Too much.
Was
Too
passed.
much, he said.
And fleecing the Americans who are paying their premiums every month and then not getting any care. He has invited a number of these insurance companies to the White House, and they just think they can wait them out and that they don't have to show up. But they're going to suffer the consequences for that. And the president's trying to have these conversations with them. The smart ones have been the pharmaceutical companies who've come in to actually negotiate so they can get some kind of plan that's better for Americans rather than Europeans.
That is the move, because I got to tell you, I think unless we get very unfortunate and there's like a million monkey videos at the midterms, metaphorically, this is the issue. This is the issue. Well, then he should stop putting them out. But these are the issues. This issue is going to drive the midterms. It's going to be the pocketbook economics issue. So whoever gets to it first and strongest will have the best case to make. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.